Welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, March 12th, 2021. This is a channel all about my crafty life and today I have knitting to share with you all. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts, and you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as show notes for this episode. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoy this episode. I am hosting a year-long make-along on Instagram, which is called the Make 9 2021 Mal, and that is for you to join in the Make 9 Challenge, where you choose 9 projects that you would like to make this year. Make a grid of those 9 projects, and then anytime that you post a progress picture or a finished object picture, you can include the hashtag Make9 2021 Mal, and that will enter you to win a prize, which I periodically draw throughout the year. Any whips are allowed for this make-along, and also any crafts are allowed. So please feel free to continue to join in. As it is a year-long make-along, you are not required to finish anything off of your board. It's just a participatory make-along. So please continue to join in if you haven't yet. And as always, please let me know if you need any assistance making a grid. I'd be glad to help you to make one for Instagram. I am going to be giving away this prize, which I had mentioned a couple of episodes ago. I had wanted to give it away before, but actually the person that donated this prize was the winner of the last prize that I gave away. So this is a gorgeous sock set from Willow Tree Yarn, and it is the Aurora colorway. It comes on a, I believe the base is called Casual 2. It's a 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon base, 450 yards for 100 grams, and then the extra mini is 10 grams. It also comes with this gorgeous progress keeper or stitch marker with that beautiful tree on it. And the winner of this sock set is Ingrid. I will put your Instagram name down here so that you can make sure that that's you. But congratulations, Ingrid. If you can please get in contact with me and let me know your full name and mailing address. You can either get in contact with me through my email or on Instagram. Just send me a direct message and I will be so happy to get this sock set off in the mail to you. And again, thank you so much, Angela, for donating this prize from Willow Tree Yarn. She is the dyer behind Willow Tree Yarn, and she donated this prize for the make along. So again, thank you so much for your donation. I truly appreciate that, Angela. Today I am wearing my son's Wyatt sweater, which I recently finished. This is a design by Michelle Wang that I highly modified. And 2 episodes ago, I shared with you that I had just finished the knitting and I still had yet to block it and add the buttons. So I did that and it's turned out so nicely. And I'll go ahead and stand up so you can see how it looks on me. It's not intended for me, but it does fit me and I really like how it fits. So I may borrow it from time to time from my son, but I'll stand up so you can see what it looks like. So here it is on me. It's really a nice, comfortable fit, which I really love. The sleeves are plenty long for me too, which is pretty surprising. It is very, pretty roomy on my son, which I did intentionally. I wanted it to be roomy so that it would fit him for years to come. But, I like how it looks on me too. So if he ever outgrows it, I can just take it over. Or of course it can be passed along to some of our other children as well. I'll also insert a picture of my son wearing it so you can see how it fits him. As you can see, it's quite roomy on him and very, the sleeves are quite long on him. But like I said, I really wanted it to be a sweater that he could wear for a couple of years, as of course he's growing so quickly lately, and I wanted him to be able to wear it for a few years. So I think he'll definitely be able to wear it for a few years, and as I've said, he's the oldest. So he, it will be passed along to all of our other children as well, I suppose. So I think our whole family, excluding my husband, will be able to enjoy this sweater as the years progress. Like I said, highly modified this sweater. I won't go over it in detail, but I changed the texture of the sweater it has like a moss stitch, I believe, throughout the sweater, and I did just plain stockinette, and then I also cut it open. So I steeked it open and changed it from a Henley neck to a cardigan. So I think I went over that in enough detail probably 2 episodes ago. So if you want a little bit more detail on what exactly I did, you can check out 2 episodes ago. So this is 115, so 113, the episode 113, I go over this project in a lot more detail. I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn, which is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, non-superwash, and it's in the colorway Lava Heather. My son really loves this sweater too, and he's so happy with how it turned out, and he's already worn it. So yeah, it's a success. And this is the 3rd finished object that I have from my from my Make 9 2021 gift list. So I made 2 Make 9 boards, one for my personal projects and one for gift knits. And this was the 3rd project that I finished off of my gift list. I have a 4th finished object off of that gift list done as well, and that is the bean cardigan. This is a beautiful pattern by Melissa LaBarre, and I knit this for my 10-year-old daughter. I had made her another, cream colored cardigan a few years ago, which is just such a nice staple garment to have in her wardrobe to wear over dresses and things like that. Anyway, she outgrew it and was ready for a new, larger cardigan, and I absolutely love how this one turned out. I made the largest size, which is, it's a size 12. It goes up to a size 12. My daughter is 10, and I wanted it to be a bit roomy for her so that she also could be able to wear it for a couple of years, and it fits her beautifully. It's nice and roomy, but not too big, but it's just got a really nice fit for her, and I do believe that she'll be able to wear it at least through next winter. It is knit top down, and it has this beautiful yoke design. It's knit in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes as well, just in the bare yarn, so worsted weight. Also, of course, 100% non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool. I used a US 7 4.5 millimeter needle to get gauge for this, although I did switch down to a US 4 3.5 millimeter needle when I was doing the purling rows, as I've explained before that my purl stitches are much, much looser than my knitted stitches, and so in order to achieve a more even gauge when I was doing the purl rows, I did change to a 3.5 millimeter needle for the purling rows. I didn't do that until about halfway through the garment, but anyway, halfway through the body, I guess I should say. So it is just knit in plain stockinette after you get done with that yoke, and then I love the garter bands along the bottom here. I did modify the sleeves just a little bit. The sleeves are supposed to be knit straight, which they are, without any decreases. And even the cuff is supposed to be, there's not supposed to be any decreases even before the cuff, but I did add 1 row of rapid decreases where I just knit 2 together all the way around before I did the garter stitch cuff. I don't recall that I have ever made a garter stitch cuff before, but I really love the looks of it. I think it's so cute. I love it. So I really like how that turned out, and I wanted it to be able to be more fitted around the wrist so that she could roll the sleeves up, even just to wash her hands without having to get the sweater wet or anything like that. I thought it was much more practical to cinch in that wrist, which this is a type of sleeve that I have done many times for my own sweaters where I just knit them straight without any decreases and just do a rapid decrease before the cuff. I love how that looks. I love how it fits, and it's so easy to knit, of course. You don't have to worry about any decrease rows at all. So I love doing that. I also added 4 inches of length to the body so that I just wanted it to be a little extra long on her, longer than what the pattern called for. Again, just so it would grow, she would be able to wear it for a few years and it wouldn't get too small for her too quickly. The button band is also just garter stitch. Since I added some length, I did have to kind of play around with how I did the buttonholes. I didn't follow the pattern exactly for the placement of those. I did need to add, I think I just needed to add one extra buttonhole according to the pattern. So I have 7 buttons, and I needed to kind of space those out a little bit differently than what the pattern called for. So I followed the pattern for the bottom 4 button placements, or 5, I guess I should say. And then once I got up to these last 2, I spaced those a little bit closer together just so that I could try to, even it out as best as possible. So I think there's like 12 stitches in between each of the bottom buttons, and then 10 stitches in between the top 3 buttons. But I love how it turned out. For the buttons, I decided to make Dorset crosswheel buttons again. This is the 3rd time that I have put Dorset crosswheel buttons on a garment, and I absolutely love how they look on this cardigan. I just couldn't find a button, well, I didn't have any buttons in my stash that were going to work for this, that I had enough of. I had one button that I had 6 of, but I needed 7, and so I just decided to go ahead and make the Dorset crosswheel buttons. I absolutely love doing this. Like I've said, I've done this 2 other times before, and I follow a tutorial by Gina-B Silkworks, which I will link to in the description box below, and it goes over how to make a Dorset crosswheel button really clearly. These were super simple to do because I'm using such thick yarn. I have the worsted weight Wool of the Andes yarn, of course. I used the same yarn to make the buttons, and I used a pretty small ring. Here is one of the little rings that I used to make the buttons. It is a copper washer, and I ordered a package of these on Amazon quite a while ago, and I checked to see if they were still available, this exact washer, and they're not. But, any washer, you can just go to a hardware store and get a washer if you don't have a ring that would work. I was going to measure this because I'm not sure the size of it. It's about 1/2 inch in diameter. So that's what I used. That's what worked for the button size that I needed. So anyway, I really love how they turned out. I'm so happy with this. And so this is the 4th finished object off of my Make 9 2021 gift list. So that's super exciting that I've made some headway on. I've now made 4 from my personal list and 4 from the gift list. So that's great. I think I'm doing well. I've gotten sidetracked now on my current whips. I'm not doing anything off of either Make 9 board, but it's only March, so I think I'm okay. Again, that make along is not, there's no requirement. You don't have to finish everything, but I would, of course, really like to finish both of my Make 9 boards. So we'll see how I do. Okay, so that is all for my finished objects. I will go on to my works in progress. Last 2 episodes ago, again in episode 113, I shared a few works or new projects that I wanted to cast on, and I have cast on all 3 of those projects that I shared. The first one is another Wyatt sweater. This one is for my youngest son, who is 7.5. And I, again, so this is now the 4th time that I have made the Wyatt sweater by Michelle Wang. And every time that I have made it, I have knit it in stockinette stitch instead of the textured stitch. And this time I am not going to be cutting it open. It's going to stay more of a Henley style neck. And this has worked up so quickly. I've really been focused on this project. However, I have put down my other projects for the last few days just to really focus on this. It's supposed to cool down over in the next few days. And so I'm hoping that he will be able to wear this before spring comes for, at least a day or 2. My son is 7.5, as I said, but I am knitting the size 6. Now, I've found that this pattern turns out pretty big. My gauge on this one was 17 stitches to 4 inches, which is quite a bit looser than what the original pattern calls for. I think the original gauge is around 20, but let me double check. Yeah, 20 stitches to 4 inches for the original pattern. And on this one, I got a gauge of 17 stitches. So it's quite a bit looser than what the original pattern calls for, which is why I was able to make this garment fit my 12-year-old son. The largest the largest size that this pattern comes in is for a size 10. And as you can see, as you saw on my son, he's 12. He's not a small 12-year-old. He's pretty average. In fact, his jeans are a size 14, I believe. So anyway, I would say he's probably pretty average for a 12-year-old, and it's quite roomy on him. So anyway, and it fits me, and I'm an adult, not a tiny petite woman either. So anyway, I decided to go down 1 needle size for this, just to try to tighten up my gauge a little bit. I actually haven't tested my gauge, but instead of, I knit this on a US 8 5mm for the main body, and on this one I went down to a US 7 4.5mm. For the ribbing, I'm using a US 5 3.75mm, which is actually what the pattern recommends. Those are the needles that the pattern recommends for both the ribbing and the body. The yarn I'm using is Lion Brand Heartland in the Redwood colorway. Whoops. It is 100% acrylic, and I have had it in my stash for many years. I've had 4 balls of this colorway in my stash for a long time, and I'm on my 3rd skein. So I'll definitely have enough because I am nearing the finish line on this garment. It's knit in the round from the bottom up, and then you put the body on hold and knit the sleeves. I knit them 2 at a time. So that worked out really well. I love being able to knit sleeves 2 at a time just because, for example, on one of the increase rows, you're supposed to do it like every 10 rows or something like that. And one time I knit 11 rounds and forgot to do an increase, and so then I just did it then, and then I did the next increase after only 9 rows, you know, so that I could kind of make up the difference. Anyway, not that it would really be that noticeable, but that way both of my sleeves are exactly the same since I knit them 2 at a time. So even if I make a little mistake like that, it's, you know, they're still exactly matching, so that's nice. Then anyway, once you get the sleeves done, you join everything together, and then you start knitting flat after you open up this neck area here. So again, I went down a whole millimeter size for my purl stitches. So I went down to a US 4 3.5mm for the purl stitches, the purl rows. And, you know, again, I'm not real positive, I'm not real confident that my purling rows are nice and even compared to just the plain stockinette. You can kind of see a little bit of variation in my gauge, but I don't know. I do the best I can. It's not perfect, but that's okay. Okay, so after I finished the main body here, then I went back, I just picked up the neck this morning to do the ribbing along the neckline here. And I am currently working on the first button placket. And then I'll do another one on this side and then sew it down here on the bottom. Sew on the buttons and it will be done. Since it is 100% acrylic, I'll probably just give it a steam block. And it should be ready to go. This fits my 7.5-year-old son very similarly to how this cardigan fits my 12-year-old. It's very roomy, which is of course what I wanted again because, you know, it's March, so winter is almost over and I want him to be able to wear it next year for sure. So I'm confident that he will be able to because it's really nice and roomy. It's not, he can wear it now, but it's very roomy. So that's good. I'm happy with how the sizing turned out for this one. And he just loves red so much, so he's very, very excited about this. And that has been a huge motivator for me to continue to work on it and be focused on it. because he's so excited to get it. So that is, you know, that makes it fun for me to work on it because he's excited for it. All right, my next work in progress is being held in a project bag that I made myself. I followed a tutorial by Erica Art here on YouTube. I will link to that if you're interested in how to make a drawstring bag like this. And in here is a pair of socks for my husband. I knit him a pair of socks for the first time at Christmas time, and he has really enjoyed them, and so I've decided to make him another pair of socks. I'm using Patons Kroy socks again, which is the same yarn that I used for his other socks, but in a different colorway. This colorway is called Turquoise Jacquard, and this yarn is 75% washable wool, 25% nylon fingering weight, although it's a pretty plump fingering weight. I am using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I'm knitting these 2 at a time. I cast on 64 stitches. I'm not following a pattern, I'm just kind of doing my own thing for these. I did a 2x2 ribbing for 20 rows. And then for the main body, I am doing a 7x1 rib. So knit 7 stitches, purl 1 across. And I like how that's turning out. I thought it would be a, you know, nice to still have a little bit of ribbing in there for a bit of stretch, but I wanted the striping and the yarn to show up as best as possible as well. So I like how that's turning out. I won't be knitting the leg very long. I'm gonna pretty much do the same thing I did for the last socks that I made, which, you know, aren't very tall. I'm just gonna, I believe I knit the leg for about 3.5 inches total, including the cuff, before I'll start the heel. So I'm almost to that point. I think I just have a few rounds left before I'm at the right length for the leg. So they should work up pretty quickly, I would think. I really like how this yarn is working up so far. I love the colors in it, and the striping, I don't believe it has repeated at all yet. I might be to a repeat now. I guess maybe that stripe is maybe repeating again right here. So this is a super fun and easy portable project that I am happy to have on the go. And my last project that I have just started, I haven't gotten too far on it yet, but I'm so excited about this project. But once I could see that my son's sweater was, like I said, I really wanted to get my son's sweater made up, so I've put this on hold until my son's sweater is finished. But I should be able to finish it tonight or tomorrow, I'm thinking. So I'm so excited to get back to this project. It is being held in this beautiful bag that was gifted to me by a podcast viewer, and it is from Longview Creations, and I absolutely love it. It's, you know, wintry themed, but I'm using it anyway because I love it so much. So I did make a swatch for this project. This is the Avo Vest, which is a beautiful pattern by Mucklestone, Mary Jane Mucklestone. And I made a swatch for it, but I kind of messed up the swatch, so I'll explain that. But you can kind of see what I did here. So halfway through this first star pattern, I was using the wrong color for these red stitches right here. They should be, the top half of this star pattern is correct. So I should have been using the black color instead of the red in these 3 rows right here. So it's kind of hard to see how it will work up, but it'll be more like that, I guess. It's kind of hard to show, but this red down here doesn't belong. But you can kind of get an idea of how the colors that I have are going to work up together, and I think I'm going to like them a lot. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm using quite a few scraps of yarn and kind of just piecemealing it together, so they're probably, you know, it's kind of an odd choice of color combo, but I think I'm going to like it anyway. I think I'm going to be happy with it. So anyway, I have just started the ribbing. It's knit from the bottom up as well. And I have made a few, it's turning out kind of big, actually. well, I'm not sure. I've put it on a larger cable and laid it out flat against one of my other sweaters that I like the fit of, and it's a little bit bigger, maybe an inch or two bigger than that sweater, but I believe that the sweater I was comparing it to is a bit more cropped than what this will be, so I think it's going to be okay, and better to be a little bit roomy than too tight, especially once I get into the color work, because I am a pretty tight color work knitter. Anyway, I have modified the ribbing to be twisted ribbing instead of just 1 by 1. And I feel like I'm doing another modification, but maybe not. No, I can't remember what that would have been. Oh, I know. For the ribbing, the pattern calls for you to do 2 rows of striped, like putting in a different colorway in 2 different rows just for 1 row. And I decided not to do that. I decided just to use the black color for all of the ribbing. So the yarns that I am using are quite a few of my own hand-dyed yarn. The black is my own hand-dyed yarn. These are all DK weight yarns. This one is called Night, and it is one that I dyed myself. This is on a 75-25 superwash merino 25% nylon base. The red is also mine, same base. This is the colorway Scarlet. I also have this light silver, which is my own hand dyed, called Choice Silver. And the burnt orange color is called Comfort. And those are all on the same base. And then I'm also using an alpaca yarn that's tweed. So it's 100% alpaca, but it does have the tweed flex in it. And this is from Rollingwood Alpaca Farm. And then I have 2 hand spun yarns that I got from Slothy Creations. This one is a superwash merino wool, and it's in the colorway Vibes. And this one is, oh good, I have the tags. This one is on Rambouillet, and it's called Love Letters. So these 2 are the only ones that I have full skeins of, and I won't be using all of them by any means. I'll still have a lot of leftovers, but I'm so excited to get these hand spun yarns that I've had in my stash for a while into a project. So those are the 2 colorways that I'm most excited about for this project. So for the needle size, I got gauge with a US 3.25 millimeter for the ribbing, and then US 5 3.75 millimeter for the main body. I got 26 stitches to 4 inches for the gauge. Maybe I didn't match gauge exactly. No, I can't remember. I feel like I'm a little off. Let's see. No, I did. I did match gauge. So that's great. Anyway, I only have a couple of rows left before I get to start the color work on this. And of course, I'm so excited to get to that point, but I have put this on hold for a few days to finish up my son's sweater. So I can't wait to get back to this. And I hope that it turns out. I'm still a little bit unsure about the colors and how they'll work up, but I think it'll be cool. I really like this part, this section here with the purple and the red together. I think that looks cool. I'm just not 100% sure if this section will show up very well, but I think it will. I think it'll be good. Hope so. The yarn that I'm using is, like, I have not a ton of extra. I do have enough according to what she calls for, but I don't have a ton of extra. So I was pretty limited on what colors I could place where, because like for that silver color, for example, that's the one I have the least of. I only have this tiny ball, but I think it's enough according to what she calls for in the pattern. So anyway, super excited to get back to that and work that up. One last thing, I just want to give a quick update on my shop. I know I've mentioned it the last few episodes, and it has taken me a while to get this shop update ready to go. I think I will be able to finish it this upcoming weekend, sewing up all the rest of the project bags I'll be putting into my Etsy shop. So I would assume that I will have those up in the shop Monday or Tuesday next week. So that would be, today's the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, or 16th of March is my guess. I do have a few of the other fabrics that I haven't shown all put together. I don't have the drawstring rope into these bags yet, but I thought I would just show them off very quickly. So here is one fabric this nice charcoal gray and white graphic with a dark charcoal duck cloth for the base. And then the interior is this white with black triangles on it. There's an interior pocket and a clasp, which I will be adding progress keepers to. There will be 6 closed ring silver progress or stitch markers that I will be adding to this clasp that will be included with the bag. And then I have this fabric with the light gray. So I showed this off last week with a darker gray for the bottom, but I have a few of these with the lighter gray. And on the interior is a light gray polka dot. And lastly, I love how this one turned out. So this has this gray floral for the main fabric and the natural color for the bottom and the drawstring casing. And then on the interior, it has this light gray leafy material. And again, the clasp on the inside. So those are the other fabrics that I hadn't shown off all sewn up. They were kind of in pieces last time I showed them off. So I do have one more fabric that I need to sew up over the weekend that will be going into the shop as well. But like I said, probably Monday or Tuesday, but again, follow me on Instagram and I will be sure to post on Instagram when my shop is updated. So that's the best way to follow me and find out when my shop is updated if you're interested. So I think that is all that I have to share with you for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that so much. I hope you all are doing well. Take care. Bye-bye.